I'm Kristen from Growing Global Citizens, and if you are traveling to Malta and wondering if you should do a day trip to the island of Gozo, this video is for you. To get to Gozo, there are ferries from two places on the island of Malta. Valletta, the capital city, has a high-speed passenger ferry, and the northernmost port of Trkawa has both passenger and car ferries. I did an all-inclusive day trip that included hotel pickup and private speedboat transfer. I'll link the company I used in the description below. So I'm here at the north edge of the island, and I'm taking a jeep tour today to go to Gozo. You can take a ferry, and you can take your car on the ferry, but the tour includes a speedboat, which will be nice because it'll be a little bit faster. My day trip to Gozo was actually one of the highlights of my trip to Malta. Of course, it didn't hurt that there wasn't a cloud in the sky on the day that I went. But if you haven't already seen my video about Malta, check it out here. When we arrived in the main port of Injar, there was an army of jeeps and tuk-tuks waiting for us tourists. I had a hard time deciding between the jeep tour and the tuk-tuk tour, but in the end I was glad to have the extra power of the jeep and a slightly less obstructed view. As we climbed out of the harbor, we had our first great panorama. You can see Comino and the main island of Malta, St. Julian in the distance there. There are a number of great beaches on Gozo, but as I was traveling in February, I didn't see anyone dare to test the waters. If you do swim, you should be aware of jellyfish. My favorite beach was Darlet Orot because of these colorful doors in the rock. The rock in Malta tends to be this bright yellow limestone, and almost all the buildings are made out of it. This is a bit of a problem because it's very, very soft, and so it decays quite quickly. You can see some of the rock faces here have been worn away, and a lot of the cathedrals and the buildings have lots of holes in them because of this. But it looks very beautiful, and it's definitely a quintessential symbol of Malta. One other big positive about Malta is they have public toilets that are free in lots and lots of places. Our jeep made its way along the eastern coast to Ramla Beach. Up here is a cave that legend says is Calypso's cave from the Odyssey, but unfortunately it's closed to tourists because of safety concerns. Next, we headed to the center of the island and the capital city of Victoria. Sitting on the top of the hill, the Citadel seems to keep watch over the entire island. The €5 admission was included in our tour. Square watchtowers like the one behind me dot the landscape of Gozo in Malta. They were built to make sure that the Turks were spotted. The Maltese definitely had reason to be afraid of the Turks. And in fact, it's quite a sad story. In 1551, the entire population of Gozo was attacked by the Turks, and they went into the Citadella at the top of the island to try to be protected. But they were beaten by the Turks, and 5,000 some people, the entire population of Gozo, was enslaved. Knowing this, you can understand why only a few years later, the victory of the Knights of St. John's against the Turks was so important to Maltese history. After lunch in Victoria, we set off to the western side of the island, passing an aqueduct built by the British in 1839. One major attraction that I didn't see on this tour was the temples of Gigantia.
The temples are historically important, but there's not much left of them to see. Our guide gave us the choice to go there or to see other sites, and since admission was €10, I appreciated that he gave us the choice. Of the many churches on Gozo, the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Blessed Virgin of Tapinu is one you must stop at. Numerous pilgrims and popes have visited here. On display are letters and artifacts from around the world, thanking Our Lady for her help. There are two more prominent sites to see on the northern side of the island. First, the picture-perfect natural arch, called the Wied y Miela window. East of this window is a small area preserving a centuries-old tradition on Gozo, producing salt. Here seawater is evaporated in progressively smaller salt bands, and tourists can taste a pinch of salt and buy some salt souvenirs.
This is the salt, try it out.
And here's one interesting feature I saw on Gozo and Malta.
Malta has a lot of interesting houses for cats.
On the boat ride back, our captain took us through the Blue Lagoon and some caves on the island of Comino.
We're getting a little peek into the caves on our boat ride back.
Many travelers wonder if it's worth doing a day trip to Gozo, and I would say it definitely is. It was a whirlwind tour, but I felt like I really got to see the whole island. However, if you like a slower pace, or if you want to enjoy some of the beaches, I would recommend spending a night on the island. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next adventure.